Today we're covering 7th grade, Chapter 7, Lesson 3, Solve Equations with Rational Coefficients. Remember, the coefficient is the number in front of the variable, or the number that's being multiplied by the variable. If you have your textbook at home, this is textbook page 521. And so we're going to start with rational coefficients, and that usually means fractions or decimals. So first, a decimal coefficient. And remember, when we solve equations, we want to do the opposite of whatever's next to the variable because we want to get the variable alone. So the opposite of multiplying is dividing. That means we're going to divide both sides by 0.3. Well, the 0.3's cancel because 0.3 divided by 0.3 makes 1, and 1x is just x. My equal sign stays in the middle, and then 15 divided by 0.3. And I'm going over here to the side because I notice it has a decimal, so I'm going to have to move the decimal over. 3 goes into 15 5 times. And 3 goes into 0 0 times. So 15 divided by 0.3 is 50. X equals 50. Now let's try a fraction coefficient. So we're multiplying the variable times 3/4, and the opposite of multiplying is dividing. But when we divide by a fraction, we have to do that keep, change, flip. So we are going to change to multiplication and flip, or take the reciprocal of that fraction. So really we're multiplying by 4/3 on both sides. And think of it as canceling. They cancel each other, and y is by himself. And then let's go to the other side. 20 and 4 can both be divided by 4. And 12 and 3 can both be divided by 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4. 3 divided by 3 is 1. And then we go straight across. 4 times 1 is 4. 5 times 1 is 5. So y is equal to 4/5. Let's try another fraction coefficient, but this time let's add a negative sign. So a negative coefficient. And if it's negative, it's important to remember to include the negative sign. So there's my divide. And it looks like I'm multiplying by 7/9, so I need to take the reciprocal and multiply by -9/7. So times -9/7, and you need to show that we do it on both sides. The 9's cancel, the 7's cancel, and D is all by himself. And we've already gotten rid of the negative sign because a negative times a negative would make a positive, so that's gone. Just one D, which is D. Now on the other side, I need to put a 1 under the whole number, and I'm going to multiply straight across. So 5 times -9 is -45/7, which is improper, so I need to divide that out. 7 goes into 45 6 times, because 6 times 7 is 42. Subtract, and I get 3. And I'm going to leave it as a fraction, 3/7. So D is equal to negative, don't forget the negative sign, 6 3/7. Let's go over some extra examples. So on this one, my coefficient is 0.41. So we need to do the opposite of multiplying by 0.41, which would be dividing by 0.41 on both sides. That cancels. The x comes down on the right, and then I need to divide. I have to move the decimal 2 spaces, so that means on this one I have to move the decimal 2 spaces and add a 0. And my decimal goes right there. So 41 does not go into 1, it doesn't go into 12, but it will go into 123 3 times. Because 3 times 41 is 123. So I have nothing left over, but I still have to bring down the 0. 41 goes into 0, 0 times. So x is 30. So if you're dividing by a decimal, don't forget you have to move it over to the end. Let's go over some of those fraction ones because those are a little bit tricky. On this one, our coefficient is 4/5. So we want to divide by 4/5. In order to divide by 4/5, we change to multiplication and flip. So we're multiplying by 5/4 on both sides. On this left side, I'm going to need to put a 1 underneath him. And I can simplify the 4 and the 28. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 28 divided by 4 is 7. So go straight across. 5 times -7 makes -35 over 1, which is just -35. Notice everything that I did on this side, I went straight down. And then we need to work on the other side. So the 5's cancel each other, the 4's cancel each other, and all that's left is D. Maybe we can look at the ones you're supposed to be doing. So on number 1, you're going to be dividing by 11.3. And on number 2, you're going to be dividing by 0.5. On number 3, you're dividing by 3/5. And remember, you have to change it to multiplication and flip the fraction. And you might need to put a 1 under him. Same thing on number 4. You're dividing by -3 over 9. So you need to change to multiplication and multiply by 9/3 because we flip the fraction. And it's a -9/3. And then there's number 5. An architect needs to make a scale drawing of a home. The width of the home in the drawing in inches is given by the equation 3/8 times W equals 6. What is the width of the home in the scale drawing? So they're multiplying by 3/8. We need to do the opposite. So the opposite would be divide by 3/8. So we change to multiplication and flip. So this would be 6 times 8 over 3. And the 8's will cancel, and W will be by himself, and you can work out the other side. Don't forget to simplify.